Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you game 1 in a series between Yoda and Socke here on Ohana. Yoda spawning as the red Terran player on the top left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Socke, or Socke, as other people may know him, has spawned as the blue Protoss. So, Protoss versus Terran here on Ohana, game 1 in the series, as things are going to start and unfold. Taking a look at the particular strategies now, we can see that Socke pretty much not doing anything too early, no crazy probe movement trying to make their way out. And already you see Yoda doing a very good job making sure of only mining on the closest of the mineral patches. And with that, he will be able to mine slightly faster. Let's take a look at the income tab. And the income tab does show Terran. It's about the same until you realize that there's now an SCV trying to go ahead and build a supply depot off over here. Now, one of the things that I've always thought about, or I never really considered, is the cost of a supply depot versus the cost of an overlord and a pylon. Their functions are pretty similar, except that the pylon actually, the pylon and the overlord are actually significantly cheaper than a supply depot. If you think about it in terms of how long it takes to build up a supply depot requires an SCV to be away from mining for 30 seconds, which means that you lose out on about 25 resources early in the game. Probes, same thing. It has to move away to set up the pylon, but once it's there, it just places it down. And not only that, pylons take 25 seconds to build instead of 30. Overlords are perhaps a little bit more difficult to quantify, as I do not know how many minerals a larva is worth. I do know that sometimes Zerg players are larva limited, so I don't want to make any real big guesses there. We are going to see Yoda setting up what I believe to be a fast command center here on Ohana. Yes, it is going to be a command center after a barracks. He will be forced to get up a lot of Marines in order to fend off any stalker zealot pressure that may be coming in, and I believe this is the strategy that may fall out of favor eventually. And the reason why for this, the mothership core in Heart of the Swarm does allow sight up onto the high ground. It can move around, it can attack ground, harass mineral lines, and really make it much more difficult for a Terran player to defend. We should be seeing Yoda following this up with double barracks, and with those double barracks, then training up a lot more Marines, and we'll see what that actual follow-up play will be. A Nexus has been placed down by Socke, and Socke, let's take a look. Has he done any scouting? No scouting there. Yoda is the one who has, in fact, done some scouting, moving around. He does know his opponent has gone for a faster Nexus than normal, and I would not be surprised if Yoda actually went double barracks, or if he actually went down for a single command center for even heavier saturation. That is something that I've seen Terran players do in the past. It looks like, however, Yoda not going to go too heavy in terms of economy. Instead, placing down 2 barracks. He should be getting double gas here in just a moment. There we go, as the barracks are about 1/3 of the way done, and he should have enough Marines to defend against any sort of early aggression. SCV hiding behind some brush here. Nicely done. Line of sight, always a very, very useful feature, and even if a probe was to warp in a building right here, this SCV would still be out of sight and could be able to come back and start to do a bit of scouting. So far, just mass Marines being trained up. We are going into that double gas. We are upgrading to a second orbital command, as Yoda going to just play a longer macro style of game. Now, what is Socke's strategy going to be? It looks as though it is going to be a gateway, robotics facility, and another gateway. Going to have a total of 3 production buildings, and he's just going to, get a couple of, maybe one immortal, but most likely just going for observers. He needs to know what's going on inside his opponent's base. He really has no idea. He most likely knows that there is an expansion already down, but he doesn't know the timing. He doesn't know when it's placed down. He doesn't know if his opponent is even mining gas at this point, or what type of game Yoda is trying to go for. Marines now on the move. We can see one stalker here by Socke. It will scout out all of these Marines. One Marine going to be holding that Zelnaga tower pretty easily, as Socke taking a very roundabout way into his opponent's neck of the woods. Perhaps hiding a probe off over here. Will be able to warp in a pylon, as we finally see Yoda taking in that 3rd gas. Now, Socke has been known as more of a tricksy Protoss player, and we do see that now as we are going into a Warp Prism. A Warp Prism, a very, very useful unit, able to be essentially a mobile pylon for power, also the ability to act as a shuttle. So if you have one Warp Prism and a whole bunch of units and a whole bunch of gateways, that is a whole bunch of units and perhaps a very, very large effective drop in just a second here. Probe on patrol, wandering back and forth. The Warp Prism, we do see a fourth sentry making its way in. We do see one sentry down here, and this is a little bit of a gambit. You can see that Socke has one sentry here. He's not going to be able to really wall off the ramp here in time. But really, what he's really banking on is the sight of this one stalker to act as an early warning system. If for some reason Yoda was to come up and down on the far side here and then sneak through right there, that would be an absolute devastating play. But instead, Socke now moving over with very, very expensive sentries, which may not have that much damage, but you got to remember this is all being powered by additional warp gates. You can see 2 warp gates are operational, 2 more now currently being warped in, and the Warp Prism may just try to warp in right here. Nope, it is gonna actually simply fly straight in, and here you go, sentries and now force fields being placed down. Beautifully done. And it is going to be picking up some of those sentries. So damage is being dealt the Marines. Oh, another force field. Is the Warp Prism going to get taken down? I believe so, yes. Socke actually may be, yes, on the losing end in that particular battle. A very, very aggressive move with just mass sentries. And that was a devastating blow. Yoda now sitting at 80 over 94 supplies. Socke sitting at 72 over 84. Harvester count 49 to 43 as Marines and Marauders are now on the move. This is the perfect timing to attack. That one particular Warp Prism, plus a whole bunch of one Warp Prism, 200 resources. Add in the cost of, I believe it's, 150 resources per sentry. So that is going to be a total of, 800 resources in one Warp Prism play. All of a sudden lost in just a moment there. We can see that Yoda is looking and considering, pondering. Does he want to try and charge up this ramp? However, Socke does have Colossus. Extended Thermal Lance Range not yet quite done. And the timing on that Extended Thermal Lance Range may be key. It is being chrono boosted out. A factory is overhead. It does scout out the 2 Colossi. And I do not believe Yoda wants to come up this ramp just quite yet. Needs to get in a little bit more on the Viking count. Currently sitting on only 0 Vikings with 2 in production. As Yoda just still wandering back and forth. Marines and Marauders trying to bait a little bit of the attack here as the Marines are now trying to engage. This is not, a beautiful flank in from the far side here, but it's not going to be enough. The force fields are enough. The Marines are now just getting sliced and diced by Socke, and Socke perhaps getting a little bit lucky here as the Colossi are not with the rest of the Stalkers. One Stalker does regroup with the rest of that army just in time. The medevacs, will they be able to escape? It does not look like it. And this is perhaps a bad timing here. Zealots now trying to come down the ramp. The Colossi are engaging. The Colossi are simply going to be too much. And those units are definitely going to be retreating. It looks like another medevac may get taken down. There it goes as the units are already running all the way back home. So Socke coming out definitely ahead in that particular fight as he does sit on 53 supply compared to 47. It really felt like Yoda, he saw what was happening. He was going to try and do a flank, perhaps thinking that Socke would be asleep, not control, and not micro his units. We did see, what was that? Apparently, not a good day to be a Marauder. Yoda actually taking down one of his own units as we now see the engagement come in. Vikings, however, are now starting to be massed. Blink now being massed or researched, as well as the Vikings may get taken down. 1 Viking, 2 Vikings, 3, 4 Vikings already down. 5 Vikings, I believe, now taken down. We see 2 Colossus left. Reinforcements are warping in on the far pylon here. Is it going to be enough as the Colossi are once again trying to engage? 2 Vikings will be coming out. This one particular Colossus now trying to back away. It looks like it will not get away in time. Still 1 Colossus standing tall, causing problems as the Stalkers do retreat with this one particular Colossus. All right, it looks as though Socke is really putting everything in this push. No follow-up expansions behind this. He has Yoda on the run, and if he is able to just pick off the units, he should be able to come out ahead. Stalkers are peeling back, able to just able to blink back, and now there's the final blink forward. Socke is going to take the game here. There is the GG. Yoda losing game 1 in this series to ATN's Socke. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed game 1 in this series.